Spring Grandmacore Aesthetic, budget-friendly decor tips for a timeless home. Introduction. The Grandmacore Aesthetic is a heartwarming blend of vintage charm and cozy nostalgia. It embraces floral patterns, lace accents, and antique pieces to create a timeless, welcoming space. Best of all, this look can be achieved on a budget with thoughtful thrifted finds and DIY decor. Whether you love soft textiles, delicate teacups, or old-fashioned lighting, there's a way to bring Grandmacore into any home. In this video, we'll explore simple yet effective ways to transform your space into a cozy retreat. From layering lace and ruffles to repurposing vintage containers, each tip will help you create an inviting atmosphere. You don't need a large budget, just creativity and a love for timeless decor. Let's dive into the best budget-friendly Grandmacore decor tips to make your home feel warm, nostalgic, and effortlessly elegant. 1. Incorporate floral patterns for a vintage touch. Floral patterns instantly add a soft, nostalgic charm to any room. Start by adding floral print curtains, tablecloths, or throw pillows to your space. If you're on a budget, visit thrift stores or fabric outlets for vintage-style prints. For a subtle touch, opt for floral wallpaper accents or removable decals to refresh your walls. Mix and match different floral designs to create a layered, cozy feel. Stick to a cohesive color palette to avoid clashing patterns. If sewing is an option, consider DIYing floral pillowcases or table runners from secondhand fabric. Small details like a floral embroidery hoop wall art can also enhance the theme. Pro tip: choose muted, pastel floral prints for a more authentic, vintage feel, rather than overly bright or modern designs. Two, DIY pressed flower frames for elegant wall art. Collect fresh flowers from your garden or local market and press them between heavy books for about 2 weeks. Once dried, arrange them on a white or vintage-style background in an old frame. Secure them with clear adhesive or glass. Hang them on walls or display them on shelves for a delicate, handmade decor piece. With different flowers and greenery to create unique combinations. Soft petals like daisies or lavender work beautifully for a rustic look. Use antique-style frames from thrift stores to enhance the Grandmacore aesthetic. Consider adding a handwritten note or a vintage postcard as a background layer. Pro tip: pressed flowers retain their color better when kept away from direct sunlight, so place them in a shaded area. Three, thrifted teacups and dishware, the charm of mismatched sets. Vintage teacups and dishware add a classic Grandmacore touch to any space. Visit thrift stores, flea markets, or estate sales to find unique mismatched sets. Display them on open shelves, inside glass cabinets, or stacked elegantly on a dining table. Even if they have minor chips, they can be repurposed as decorative pieces. To enhance the aesthetic, mix floral designs with delicate gold or pastel-trimmed edges. Use teacups as mini planters for succulents or as candle holders. Arrange different dishware pieces as part of a cozy tea corner or brunch setup. Layer lace doilies underneath for an extra touch of vintage charm. Pro tip: look for sets with hand-painted designs or floral motifs to achieve an authentic, timeless look. 4. Handmade crochet and knitted pieces for cozy vibes. Handmade crochet and knitted pieces add warmth and texture to a grandmacore space. Look for vintage doilies, lace table runners, or handmade blankets at thrift stores. If you enjoy crafting, try crocheting your own pillow covers or small decorative pieces. Drape a knit throw over a reading chair for an inviting feel. Soft pastels, cream, and earth-toned yarns work best for this aesthetic. Layer crochet doilies on coffee tables or under potted plants for a delicate look. Repurpose old crochet pieces into cushion covers or even wall hangings. Handmade pieces tell a story, adding both charm and nostalgia to your home. Pro tip: look for vintage crochet patterns online and recreate them using budget-friendly yarns. 5. Soft ambient lighting. Candles, lamps, and fairy lights. Lighting plays a huge role in setting a cozy, timeless mood. Use warm-toned bulbs and vintage lamps, or place candles around the home for a soft glow. Battery-powered fairy lights in glass jars or along shelves create an enchanting effect. Avoid harsh, white lighting, which disrupts the vintage ambience. Opt for lamps with fabric or lace-covered shades to diffuse the light beautifully. Use candelabras or brass candle holders for a truly antique touch. If using real candles, choose subtle floral or vanilla scents to enhance the cozy feel. Layer different light sources to create depth and warmth in your decor. Pro tip: dimmer switches or smart bulbs with warm settings can mimic a vintage glow while being energy efficient. 6. Repurpose mason jars and vintage containers for decor. Mason jars and antique containers make excellent budget-friendly decor. Use them as vases for fresh flowers, candle holders, or storage for dried herbs. Paint or distress the jars for a more aged, rustic look. Glass bottles with twine or lace can also serve as charming table centerpieces. Stack old tin containers in kitchens or use them as planters for herbs. A simple ribbon or vintage label can elevate the look of any plain jar. Repurpose old milk jugs or enamel pitchers as decorative pieces. The key is to mix textures and sizes for a curated, lived-in feel. Pro tip: try using old jam jars as drinking glasses or DIY lanterns for a rustic, functional touch. 7. Layering lace, ruffles, and soft textiles for a timeless look. Textiles play a crucial role in achieving the grandmacore aesthetic. Layer lace tablecloths over wooden surfaces to add softness. Use ruffled pillowcases or vintage-inspired bedding to create an inviting space. Look for second-hand fabric pieces, or upcycle old curtains into decorative throws. Mix and match different textures like cotton, linen, and lace to create depth. Drape lace or crochet runners over bookshelves and nightstands. Soft textiles also work as DIY wall hangings or decorative chair covers. The goal is to create a lived-in, cozy, and timeless atmosphere. Pro tip: stick to soft, neutral colors like ivory, pastel pink, and muted blues for a truly vintage feel. Eight. Antique and secondhand finds to add character. Antique pieces instantly elevate the Grandmacore aesthetic. Browse thrift stores, flea markets, and estate sales for unique vintage decor. Look for items like old picture frames, porcelain figurines, and wooden furniture with carved details. Even slightly worn pieces add authenticity and charm. Mix secondhand finds with newer pieces for balance. Repaint or distress wooden furniture for a more rustic look. Incorporate vintage mirrors to reflect light and add an old-world feel. A few well-chosen antique pieces can make a big impact without overwhelming your space. Pro tip: check online marketplaces or community swap groups for hidden gems at affordable prices. Nine. Create a cozy reading nook with classic books and vintage furniture. A cozy reading nook brings warmth and nostalgia to your home. Choose a quiet corner with natural light, then add a vintage armchair or wooden bench. Stack old hardcover books beside it, and include a soft throw blanket for comfort. A floor lamp with warm lighting completes the inviting atmosphere. Decorate the space with framed botanical prints or floral wallpaper. Place a small table nearby to hold a teacup and a vintage-style clock. Use a wooden crate as a bookshelf for an extra rustic touch. This cozy spot becomes the perfect escape for quiet afternoons with a good book. Pro tip: old leather-bound books or ones with faded covers add to the vintage aesthetic, even if they're just for display. Ten. Bringing nature indoors: fresh flowers, herbs, and dried bouquets. Fresh and dried flowers bring a timeless, natural beauty to any room. Arrange seasonal blooms in vintage vases or repurposed teapots. Hang dried lavender or wildflowers upside down for a rustic, romantic touch. Even a simple bundle of herbs in a mason jar can add warmth to your space. Change floral arrangements with the seasons for a fresh look year-round. Use eucalyptus or baby's breath for a delicate touch. Press dried flowers into glass frames or use them in DIY potpourri for a lasting fragrance. Bringing nature indoors completes the Grandmacore aesthetic effortlessly. Pro tip: mix dried flowers with fresh ones to create a more dynamic and textured arrangement.